Micky Dolenz and Davy Jones.
Where did it go? Where did all the years go?
How much do you get paid every time they show that then?
25p.
Good heavens.
35p for that.
Hey!
Do you have a peppermint in your mouth?
Yeah, right.
Could you hide it?
I'm coughing. I didn't
All
want
right.
to cough through the whole interview.
Hide it
so I
behind
thought
it.
it'd be better to have a gobble in my mouth.
The chap over there at the parking lot over there, he said to me when I came in, he said, Micky's here already, you know. I said, is he now? He said, my goodness, I haven't seen you guys since the 60s. Hasn't he grown?
Spiritually, he meant. Spiritually.
Very odd beginnings. I mean, with most bands that get together, it's either two guitarists and a drummer asking for a singer. But you were actually totally, I don't like saying manufactured because it doesn't sound...
That word again.
Wait, what shall I
word.
use? Is
well,
you
how
were
did you
put
get? How
together.
did you get this job? An audition, right?
I auditioned, yeah.
Right. Well, are you a manufactured presenter? No, you're somebody
I
who's
hate
hired.
to say this.
No,
Hired for the job. It was a dirty job, but someone had to do it.
But you were hired for a TV series, so that's different. But you became the phenomenon of a group.
Yeah, it was a good concept, a good idea, putting four guys together and making a TV show about guys trying to be a rock and roll band, trying to be successful. That was the difference. We were never a band. We were put together to just do this TV show.
We were cast in a television show, yeah.
Mickey was Circus Boy, and I was
Yes, I remember
Ines
you.
Jarpo's grandson, you know. So.
But you did become a band. So how did that happen? What stage did that occur?
That's true, and that's also the one thing about the Monkees that I think is fascinating, a lot of people miss, is that we were cast on this television show about a rock and roll group, like Star Trek was cast, right? And we became a group, and we recorded, and we went on the road to 200 concerts the first year with Jimi Hendrix as our opening act. And we became a rock and roll group. And it's the equivalent of Leonard Nimoy really becoming a Vulcan.
Well, he's in next week. We'll ask him about that.
I mean, how good is good anyway? We didn't get a lot of criticism from the fans. The fans love what we do. They like the TV show. I mean, we weren't the greatest of musicians, but we had a good time. In fact, when we played the national anthem, people from every country stood up. So, you know, it wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying?
But wasn't it John Lennon who said you were like the Marx Brothers?
Yeah, it was absolutely right.
Praise
That's much more
indeed.
closer to what we are than, say, Davy has a great line, we're in between the Barron Knights and the Beatles. Which is true. We're more like the Marx Brothers, certainly, than we are a regular, real rock and roll.
We have a great time on stage. We obviously sing all the hits, I'm a Believer, Daydream Believer, Hard Day's Night, Help. We do them all.
I'll believe anything, you believe this, I'll believe it.
Misty, all those kinds of things.
I find it hard to believe that you were only together at the top for like 3 years, and you had so many hits then. And you've been apart for sort of 20-odd years. You obviously kept together then, kept in touch.
Well, professionally, yes. I mean, this is like a cast, a reunion of a cast, or like, you know, just
high school.
what do they call it? Well, no, yeah, more like
cast reunion.
a cast kind of getting back together to recreate their roles.
I think when something feels good, you enjoy doing it.
Oh.
And the Monkees.
Keep talking. Sorry.
And
I love it when he talks dirty.
The Monkees were this particular show, this concept, this idea. We had tours, we did a television show, we did personal appearances, we did all kinds
Bar
of...
mitzvahs?
Yeah, weddings,
Yes,
we played in
weddings, oh, yeah,
elevators,
sure.
anything, it didn't matter.
But what has lured you back? Because you're both highly successful now.
The fun of it.
Just making music?
Yeah, and being together on stage, you know, to work with Micky and Peter and Mike on a stage, it's so familiar.
Agony.
It's familiar, you know. We enjoy each other's company, we know about each other's, you know,
Personalities.
idiosyncrasies, and it's very, very good to be able to work off people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you see how easy you stepped into that monkey walk at the beginning there?
We could put a wolf hat and sideburns on you, you could be Mike.
You could come on tour with us.
Why didn't I think of that before? I'd love to.
Yeah. We could do a show right here. I got a voice, and you got some nice legs, and he's got a lot of hair. We could be a group.
Now, what sort of, the image you had then was sort of young lads, carefree. You've really gone sort of back to front. Are you going to get heavy into drugs now? Be very raunchy and sexy now?
It's not. We've changed our image now. We're old and boring.
But no, but it's got to be a change in it because you represented a time.
Yeah, that happens to people. They get carried away with the success, and all kinds of things come into their path and into their lives. But if you're brought up in a certain way and you respect your parents and things like that, you take all that through your life with you. And I've got relatives and family that live in Manchester and around England, and they're looking at me all the time, and we have a lot of young fans. And so we never got into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't get into it, because we have a responsibility as entertainers, as presenters, and people look to us and they mimic us. And so when you've got all these young kids looking at you, we were never identified with drugs. Obviously in the 60s, it was all marijuana and smoking pot and flower power and everything, and that crossed through our lives, but very, very briefly. And 25 years have gone by, 22 years, and I've got 4 daughters, I've got a lovely family.
You mentioned your young fans there, and it's funny to think that you've got daughters now that didn't know you at the height of your fame.
No,
Well, they don't recognize me now because I'm on the road so much.
my 20-year-old, when 2 years ago when this thing broke in the States, my 20-year-old, I called her up because I had no idea what was happening. It was on MTV, the show. She says, "Daddy, all my friends want to meet you." Daddy.
And my 17-year-old said when she introduced me to some of her friends, they said that I was a major babe. Now, I don't know what that means. That means
I was a corporal babe.
But what's your music? You're going to play all the old things, but are you getting into a new sound, or is it still going to be the same Monkees sound that we know so well?
No, it sounds a bit more like Stravinsky now.
Yeah.
I think Monkees and pop, and take the last train to Clarksville, and I'm a believer and Daydream Believer. That's something that we always do. Obviously, we're thinking about making an album in the near future, which will be new material. But for this tour, for the Monkees tour of England, we're starting all the hits. We've got a lot of hits, and we want to play those songs for those people
As you remember them.
that haven't been to a lot of concerts over the last 10, 15 years. The people that are our age, that have grown up, got grown-up children now, and now they want to go out and renew some old memories, and the Monkees is a perfect way of doing it. And this is why you've got the people like the Beach Boys and Freddie and the Dreamers and Jerry and the Pacemakers, and a lot of English acts from the 60s that are out there now doing it and being well enjoyed.
Well, you talk so well.
Isn't he good?
He goes, and it all makes sense. How do you do that? It's wonderful.
I did all that food over there I'm going to be rushing to soon.
I did hear tell that that a producer was thinking about putting a band together and calling them, you know, a younger group, perish the thought of fellas, and calling them the Monkees.
The new Monkees. They did that. They tried, and yeah, terrible disaster.
I think you've got to be over 40 to be in rock and roll these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rock and roll they're making on the top 40 these days. There are a few acts that sneak in, like the Four Tops have got a great new record, Acapulco.
Down in Acapulco.
Yeah, and things like that. And we are from the 60s, and we don't pretend to be young anymore. We're in our early 40s.
Yep.
It's a strange sort of conception.
I remember the quake of '71. I was there.
So it was a sort of strange conception. I mean, call them the Aardvarks, but call
Yeah,
them
right.
Monkees.
That's the mistake they made.
Yeah.
Well, we were a touring band. They should have called them the New Beatles or something like that, because the Beatles are not touring anymore.
Well, you're going on tour. You start in March.
March 17th at Harrogate.
Yeah.
And then we go all the way through. We're playing in Scotland, in Edinburgh and Aberdeen, and we're going to Portsmouth and all over the place. The Albert Hall on the Easter
25th.
weekend.
Yep.
But I've got something very important. There's a good race to the Leominster Novice Chase, and I know, of course, you're riding. You're riding, yeah. Could you give us a tip? I fancy Mr. Dibbs myself, but
Yeah,
I know
well,
you were studying the
I like to go
format.
for the underdog. New Gold Dream, Nicholson's horse in the 130.
I like Dunwoody.
At,
that's jockey.
It's worth £1 each way.
We're going to put 10p on each way. I think I'm going to put it on that one. And you're right. When did you say you were riding again?
I'll be riding at Liverpool on the 8th of April at the national meeting. I'll be in the amateur.
The horse will be in there.
The amateur hurdle. The amateur hurdle. I have a jockey's license, and I've got ambitions to ride again. It's something that I enjoy doing very much. Hopefully that evening, the 8th of April, when we appear at the Apollo Manchester, I won't be in plaster. But
Oh, don't say that. What do you ride? What's the horse?
I'll be riding a horse. It's one of my own horses, and it's got a fair chance, you know. I mean, once a champion, always a champion, so I'll be out there kicking and pushing.
Great, and I'll be out there watching you when you come on tour.
Well, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Davy Jones, Micky Dolenz. Wonderful. Monkees. Hang on to that one. New Gold.